Howdy gamers, welcome to Who Asked, an online thing where I talk about things, also known as the laziest show on the internet. Today we're taking a look at the Finals Beta, the debut game from Embark Studios, a studio founded by the old CEO of DICE, the same CEO who left after the disappointing performance of Battlefield 5. Is this a redemption story for old Battlefield devs, or is this just another trendy flash-in-the-pan multiplayer shooter? Let's talk about it. If you're like me, first of all, I'm sorry. And second, you're probably wondering what kind of game the Finals even is. When I initially saw trailers, I thought it was just another battle royale or extraction shooter, and my interest wasn't very high because of that. Outside of succumbing to blatant nostalgia pandering, I haven't wanted to catch a victory royale since a certain world event forced everyone inside for months. And if I wanted to play an extraction shooter, I'd just play Tarkov and talk to my therapist about mitigating sadomasochistic behaviors. When I finally saw some real gameplay, it was clear that it wasn't just another extraction shooter or battle royale game. It shares elements with those types of games, but feels closer to something like Capture the Flag. And as a dude that spent most of his formative years in no time limit 2-fort servers, I was more than a little excited to see what this game had to offer. So I used my absolutely massive influence to gain access to the super restrictive beta and see for myself how this game really plays. The first thing to note is that, like other Battle Royale games, the Finals is pretty much laser focused on just one game mode with some slight variations. Every mode in this game shares the same objective every man has deep in his own heart, to smoke the ops and make some motherfucking bread. Bank It is your rags to riches story. You earn money little by little, earning a little bit by opening caches around the map, or sending your enemies to Morgue Manor and taking their net worth. And just like the real world, that money in your pocket doesn't mean a thing until you get more than 3 zeros in your bank account. In practice, Bank It is a little bit like Gambit from Destiny. You get things, kill other players to get more things, and need to deposit those things for it to count. And just like Gambit, it feels like a little bit of an afterthought of a game mode. Like the other mode of the Finals, it's a fun chaotic mess, but it lacks a lot of the strategic complexities that makes the Finals so much fun to play. It's a perfect way to warm up for the main course, but probably not a mode you'd come back to time and time again. It's just a way to get ready for the main mode, Cash Out. On paper, Cash Out and Bank It are very similar modes, but in practice they play extremely differently. In Cash Out, a few teams try and capture caches like before. The main difference is that the caches don't open up and spill their cash. Instead, they need to be deposited in a bank to get the cash that's inside, and that deposit takes about as long as I do to upload a video. This is where the fun begins. The bank process is where boys become fucking men. A team banking is more hectic than shit hitting the fan. It's a sewage pipe flooding the whole damn HVAC system. Anytime a team is banking, the whole server knows, which means every team in the game is going to do their best to make sure that you stay poor. That's because if any teams get to the actual bank device, they can steal the outgoing deposit. By stealing, it doesn't reset the bank process either, meaning if you got the bar to 90% before dying and losing the deposit to another team, they'll only need to maintain control for the final 10%. This makes for matches that are a constant shift between hunkering down defensively and upping your offense. It's a game of cat and mouse where your role is constantly shifting, and it's some of the most fun I've had in an online shooter in a really long time. I think these modes work so well because they're not really one life modes either. As a pro gamer, I never once died, but if you do, you can just respawn or wait to be revived by a teammate. Even in the competitive tournament mode, you can still respawn. It'll just cost a respawn coin that you have a very limited amount of. Reviving is super important, and keeping your whole team alive is its own little game. But unlike a typical battle royale, dying is relatively low stakes unless it's during key moments of the game. Games focused on one game mode like this can sometimes run into a problem of being too similar from round to round. You can only play so many dive rounds on King's Row before you dive off a fucking rooftop. But here I don't foresee that really being a problem. These maps are large with dynamic elements that change every time you play them, everything from the weather to key elements of the map itself, and these changes really do change the way you play the maps. And if that's not enough dynamic changes for you, the destruction certainly should be. Like a Minecraft YouTuber's reputation, the maps in the Finals are meant to be destroyed.
You're playing Minecraft in a cave looking for diamonds. That's funny. I'm in the same cave looking for miners.
Pretty much everything in this game can be destroyed. So if someone is banking on the floor above you, you and your team can use explosives to blow the floor out from underneath them. Or if a team set up heavy defenses around a choke point, you can just blow the choke point away. Games have done this type of thing before. By the very first Bad Company, players could blow out the walls of the buildings. What makes the finals so special though is that all of this is handled server side, which is a rare thing to see, but it has huge benefits. Handling this server side opens the door for better simulation, but also ensures that the destruction is the exact same for all players, eliminating issues that tend to come with these types of destruction systems. Even without any tech jargon or knowing how it works, this destruction is some of the best I've ever seen. It can't be overstated how much of a game changer the destructibility of these maps really is. It opens up so many possibilities that 100% static maps just don't allow. Pair this with interesting movement tools like jump pads, grappling hooks, and zip lines, all without any fear of fall damage, and it creates an unpredictable game every single round. Stack this on top of really fun movement and shooting, which is extremely easy to pick up, and I think this game will be pretty damn popular. Everyone from Lil Timmy getting off a long shift at kindergarten all the way to Chad and the hardcore crew will find something to sink their teeth into. There's the framework here for a solid competitive game, but I won't be playing it sweaty like that. This is a game of controlled chaos and funny moments for me, and I kinda hope it stays that way. I've heard some people say that it could take off as the next esport, and I hope that they're wrong. The best moments during the beta period was the clusterfuck nature of the game, and as someone who played another game that started as a decently balanced but fun clusterfuck before eventually nuking all the fun nonsense in an effort to build a dogshit esport that no one really wanted, please keep your sweaty hands and sun-starved skin away from this game. I had so much fun keeping the Mortician busy and blowing stuff up that I almost didn't appreciate how great this game looks. The finals is very bright and colorful in a semi-realistic style that I really dig. There's huge stands out in the distance, big scoreboards in the sky, and a million little details on pretty much every surface you can see. Despite all these details, the game remains very readable, which is a good thing in a fast-paced multiplayer shooter. It's easy to read the land at a glance for different paths, and enemies don't get lost in visual noise, standing out from the environment very well. There's a million different cosmetics, but it's pretty easy to tell at a glance if an enemy is a small, medium, or large, even if you can't see their health bar yet. It's good looking, but the graphics don't get in the way of the gameplay like some other super high detail shooters can. The game ran really well for me too. I didn't touch the settings except to turn off DLSS, and it ran great on my 3080. I even had a teammate who said he was getting 45 FPS on a goddamn 750 Ti. There's a solid chance that you're younger than this man's graphics card. Can we get a GoFundMe for this dude? It's time to put the poor 750 Ti to rest. Even though I liked the game a lot, there's some issues I hope get patched out before the full release. When I hopped on at the front of the beta period, every couple of games were absolutely dominated by blatant Chinese hackers. These guys were hacking harder than the FBI trying to decrypt my homework.zip folder. If you've played online shooters for any amount of time, Chinese hackers are no surprise. There's PC bars over there that use hacks as an advertisement to stand out from the competition, and unless Embark restricts the whole region, they're pretty much gonna run roughshod over the entire game. Just ask OG PUBG players how that works. Outside of those guys, I didn't notice a whole lot of hacking going on, but since there's no kill cams, it's hard to verify anyone as a clear hacker except for your own teammates. The next issue is minor but major at the same time. Voice comms should be opt-out, not opt-in. Most games I played had no one in the voice comms, and I think it's because people didn't know that they had to join them. There's a little thing on the screen here, but that's before the game starts. Most people are probably too busy double checking their loadouts or numbing the pain of modern existence by doom scrolling TikTok to even notice that little icon. This game requires a decent amount of coordination, and without voice comms, that kind of coordination is almost impossible. I understand that some people are leery of joining voice comms because of man-children maulding, but that's what the mute button is for. I think the game would be better overall if voice communication was defaulted to on. Another thing I hope they stick with is purely cosmetic microtransactions. I can't stand microtransactions, but like death and personal income tax evasion, they are inevitable. The current system has two types of currencies. One is a paid currency that currently only offers cosmetic stuff, and the other is earnable from gameplay and extremely slow to get. I hope they never meld these two systems in any way, because this is a game that could absolutely get destroyed by pay-to-win bullshit bullshit. And as an ex-player of a bunch of free-to-play shooters, that situation is much more common than you'd expect. I have some other complaints that would be around balance, but I think it's a little too early to tell how much of those are actual balance issues versus personal skill issues. Getting killed by a little dude that keeps going invisible wasn't fun when this fucker did it, and it isn't any more fun now. Lastly, the AI voices. In general, I'm not a big fan of AI in the creative space. AI tools can be decent when used as tools by creative people, but when used by uncreative people to try and replicate human creativity, it's embarrassing. And the announcers in this game are embarrassing. I like the idea on paper. The idea of having announcers that dynamically react in real time to the events of the game is super cool, but they need to go all the way with it. Have the AI read out my name and react to really minute stuff that would require much more voice work than is really feasible to do. If they used AI to replicate something like Counter-Strike shoutcasters, that would be actually incredible. Reading out the amount of shots I have left in my magazine, how far away I am from my teammate to revive, or the cash I have on hand would be really cool. It would really nail home that you're in an esports situation, and I think it would be awesome. As it stands, they're not doing anything like that. They're not leveraging the technology to do anything interesting whatsoever. All of this easily could have been done with standard voice actors. My self-harm of choice is Dota 2, and those voice kits have hundreds and hundreds of voice lines, voiced by real people doing real voices. And this game would have sounded better if they just did the same thing. There's not enough life to the AI voices that they're using. Game show hosts and esports ride on their ability to play up their reactions. As an esports gremlin, I remember a lot of plays because of the reactions of the shoutcasters.
The ice blast ready for the dog! In from Universe! It's a disaster! CDs!
Simple just jumping casually into the side. He's going to fall down again. What is this clutch from Simple? Are you serious? What is that? You can't do that, Simple. That's not allowed. This is not FPL. This is a major.
Happy feet. Wombo combo. That ain't Falco. That ain't Falco.
In comparison, the finals announcers sound like they slipped 2 Xannies before hopping in the booth.
Birth of new rivalries here. We've got our first elimination.
This is what it's all about, partner.
I hope the AI is just there for prototyping reasons, or if they're going to keep it, that they actually leverage the technology to do something interesting. Despite these issues, I'm really looking forward to the finals. With more maps and a couple of kinks ironed out, this could be one of the best multiplayer games in a long time. I hope that they can stick the landing for the eventual release, but I'll be patiently waiting until then. Did you guys play the finals? What did you think about it? Do you think it has enough depth in its single game mode to survive over time? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
That's right, we're Japanese.